All right, so maybe you're dreaming of Canada being your new home.
Yeah.
But you're thinking, oh, no job offer yet. Well, don't worry just yet, because today we're going to deep dive into the Canada Provincial Nominee Program, or PNP as most people call it. And guess what? We're focusing on the PNP streams that don't even require a job offer.
It's really amazing how the PNP has become this essential pathway for people to get permanent residency, especially during the pandemic when express entry slowed down quite a bit, and each province and territory gets to decide what criteria they want to use. So they really can kind of tailor these streams to attract the people and the talent that they need most.
Okay, so if someone's listening and they're not 100% on how express entry works, it's basically this points-based system, right? And the candidates that have the highest points, those are the ones that get invited to apply for permanent residency. So where does the PNP fit into all of this?
Well, a PNP nomination is basically like adding a rocket booster to your express entry profile. You get a whopping 600 points added to your score. So imagine you're just a few points away from getting one of those invitations. A PNP nomination could be what gets you there.
Wow, 600 points. That changes everything. Okay, so before we get too lost in all the points and stuff, let's talk about a few specific provinces that we found interesting. We'll look at Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Nova Scotia.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting how these provinces are really recognizing that just because you don't have a job offer doesn't mean you're not talented or that you wouldn't contribute a lot to the province. They're looking at people's potential and skills and drive to actually, make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, first stop, Saskatchewan. Land of big skies and friendly people and a really interesting economy that's booming right now. They have this program called the International Skilled Worker Stream, and there are actually a couple options within that stream that don't require a job offer.
That's right. They have the Occupations in Demand stream and also the Express Entry stream. And they both have, certain criteria you have to meet. But the good thing is the language requirements aren't super high. You need a CLB4, which is Canadian Language Benchmark 4. And that's achievable for a lot of people.
Yeah, so if your English or French isn't perfect, you can still qualify for this. That's really great to hear. Now, here's something interesting about Saskatchewan. They have a list of excluded occupations for these streams.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. They're very specific about what skills they need. But if you do qualify, Saskatchewan uses something called an expression of interest system, or EOI. You basically create this online profile that showcases your education and your work experience and your language skills. And then Saskatchewan will invite the highest ranking people to apply for the nomination.
So it's like a competition where the prize is living in Canada. Sounds like a good competition to me.
Exactly. It lets Saskatchewan make sure that they're choosing people who will fit in well and who have the skills they need.
Okay, that's really cool. So what about Alberta?
So Alberta's program, this one's for people who are already in the express entry pool. And it's really cool because they'll actually handpick candidates directly from that pool. And here's the kicker. They consider people with the CRS scores as low as 300.
Hold on, 300. You said 300, right? Now, for people listening who aren't sure what that means, the CRS score is the comprehensive ranking system. It's how you get points in express entry based on things like your age and your education and your work experience. So 300 is much lower than the usual cutoff for those express entry draws. So this could be huge for people who thought they just didn't have enough points.
Yeah, exactly. It really opens up the opportunity to people who might have been feeling discouraged. But just to be clear, even though they consider people with 300, it doesn't guarantee you an invitation. Alberta doesn't always say exactly what criteria they're using for each round of invitations.
So there's a bit of mystery there.
Yeah, you could say that.
So if I'm thinking about going for Alberta, are there things I can do to increase my chances?
Well, having a job offer from an Alberta employer, that's always a good thing. As is being a graduate from an Alberta institution. And of course, if you have family ties in Alberta, that can help too.
So even if I don't have a job offer yet, having some connection to Alberta might give me a better shot. Okay, I don't know. All right, let's move on to Nova Scotia, our final stop on this part of our deep dive. What's special about Nova Scotia?
Nova Scotia has this really interesting stream called the Labor Market Priority Stream. It's kind of like they have a list of what occupations they're looking for, but they don't always make that list public, so it could be a bit of a surprise.
It's like a surprise party. You never know if you're on the guest list. So if I want to go to Nova Scotia, do I have to already have some connection to the province?
Not necessarily. The main thing is to have an express entry profile that's up to date and valid, and you have to say that you're interested in Nova Scotia. If your profile matches what they're looking for, they might send you a letter of interest. And that's basically an invitation to apply for the nomination.
That sounds like a golden ticket, like you've won something.
Pretty much. It means Nova Scotia is interested in having you come live there.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's great. It shows they see your potential.
Okay, so we've covered 3 really interesting provinces today: Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Nova Scotia. Each one has its own unique way of attracting newcomers. And the best part, you don't need a job offer to qualify for any of these streams. That's great news for people who are just starting to think about immigrating to Canada. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all the options, don't worry. We're going to break it down even more in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Yeah, it really does feel like you won something. It's like a golden ticket to a new life in Canada. And you know what I think is so great about the PNP? It's not just about filling jobs. It's about welcoming people who can really add something to Canada. Skilled people and families who want to build a life here.
Yeah, I totally agree. Canada is all about immigration, and they seem to really value what newcomers bring to the country. Okay, but before we get too sentimental here, let's step back for a second. We've talked about Saskatchewan and Alberta and Nova Scotia, but there are 10 provinces and 3 territories in Canada. Each one has its own PNP streams and its own requirements.
That's true. It can definitely feel a bit overwhelming at first. That's why I think it's important to look at the big picture. The PNP is made to be flexible. It's supposed to work for all the different regions of Canada, so it's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
So how do I know which province is the right fit for me? It's like trying to pick a favorite ice cream flavor. There are too many choices.
I like that analogy. Just like with ice cream, it really depends on what you're looking for. So first, really think about your skills, think about your work experience, and think about what kind of career you want to have. Then you can research different provinces. Look at what industries are doing well in each one, and see if your skills match up with what they need.
Okay, so it's about finding a match between what I can do and what they need. But what about lifestyle? Like, some people love big cities, and other people want a quiet life in a small town.
Yeah, lifestyle is super important. Do you want to be near the ocean? Or do you prefer mountains? Do you want a busy city with lots of art and culture? Or do you want a more relaxed pace of life? You also have to think about things like the cost of living and what kind of housing is available.
You just mentioned housing, and that reminds me of something else that's really important. Community resources. What kind of support is there for newcomers in each province? Are there language classes or help with finding a job?
Those are all really good questions. It can be tough to move to a new country, so having a support system is really helpful. Look for provinces that have programs and services to help newcomers.
And don't forget, the PNP isn't just for single people, it's for families too. So if you have kids, you need to think about things like schools and healthcare.
Exactly. It's about finding a place where your whole family can thrive.
Okay, so let's recap the advantages of the PNP.
Yeah, sounds good.
First of all, it's a pathway to permanent residency. That means you can live and work in Canada forever. No more worries about visas or temporary status.
That's right. It gives you peace of mind knowing you can really settle down.
And of course, you get that amazing 600-point bonus in Express Entry if you get a provincial nomination.
Yep, that can make all the difference.
But it's not just about the points. The PNP lets provinces be very specific about who they want to attract. So you might have an easier time finding a job if your skills are in high demand in that province.
It's a win-win situation. The province gets the workers they need, and you get to build a career in a place that values your skills.
You know what I love about this whole process? It's not just about moving to a different country. It's about discovering new things and trying new things. So even if you don't have a job offer right now, don't give up on your dream of coming to Canada. The PNP could be the perfect way to make it happen.
Yeah, it's like you're choosing your own adventure. But in real life, that's what I think is so cool about the PNP. You get to decide what you want your future to look like.
Exactly. It's about making smart choices and finding the path that's right for you. But before we finish up today, I want to leave you with something to think about. Now that you've heard about all these great PNP options, which province sounds most interesting to you? Which one makes you think, hey, maybe that's where I should go?
It's all about that feeling you get. Like, you know, this is the right place for me.
So is it Saskatchewan? With those wide open prairies and that feeling of endless possibilities?
Or maybe it's Alberta, with the Rocky Mountains and that strong entrepreneurial spirit.
Or maybe you're thinking about Nova Scotia, with those charming little towns on the coast, and that mix of East Coast friendliness and big city energy.
Each province has its own special something, so it really comes down to what you're looking for.
Okay, so now we want to hear from you. Go to the comment section and tell us which province you'd choose, and tell us why. What is it about their PNP streams that you like? What are you excited to explore in that province?
Yeah, we love hearing from you. Your comments might even inspire someone else who's thinking about moving to Canada.
Sharing our experiences and knowledge is what makes this whole journey so much better. We're all in this together, figuring out how immigration works. And learning from each other's stories can really help. And hey, if enough people are interested in a specific PNP stream, maybe we'll do a deep dive on that in a future episode. So let us know what you're curious about.
We're always learning new things.
Yeah.
And we love sharing what we learn with you.
So to everyone out there who's dreaming of living in Canada, we're sending you all the best, and we wish you the best of luck on your journey. Remember, do your research, don't give up, and stay positive. You can make it happen.
And remember, there are lots of people and organizations that can help you along the way. You don't have to do this alone.
That's so true. All right, everyone, that's it for our deep dive today. Until next time. Keep exploring those Canadian horizons. We'll be back soon with more tips and advice.
See you next time.